SLC English Alliteration and Comprehensive Passage. Snake and the Mirror. Comprehensive Passage. It was a hot summer night, about 10 o'clock. I had my meal at the restaurant and returned to my room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. The sound was a familiar one. One could say that the rats and I shared the rooms. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. The house was not electrified. It was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase, along with some shirts and dhotis. I also possessed one solitary black coat, which I was then wearing. Questions. 1. Where did the speaker have his meal from? Answer. The speaker had his meal from a restaurant. 2. Why did the speaker feel the sound as a familiar one? Answer. It was the sound of rats which he always heard as he shared his room with rats. 3. Who shared the room with the speaker? Answer. He shared his room with rats. 4. Why did he use kerosene lamps in his room? Answer. He lighted kerosene lamp because the house was not electrified. 5. What were his possessions at that time? Answer. At that time, his possessions were about 60 rupees, some shirts, dhotis and a black coat. 6. Find out the word which means lacking in quality and quantity. Answer. Meager. Lines written in early spring. Read the lines given below and answer the questions that follow. The birds around me hopped and played. Their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion what they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must do all I can, that there was pleasure there. Questions. 1. What did the birds around the poet to express their thrill of pleasure? Answer. The birds around the poet hopped and played to express their thrill of pleasure. 2. Their thoughts I cannot measure. Whose thought cannot be measured? Answer. The bird's thoughts cannot be measured. 3. What does the poet understand from the least motion of the birds? Answer. The poet understands that the birds are happy. 4. Why do the budding twigs spread out their fan? Answer. The budding twigs spreads out their fan because they want to catch the breezy air. 5. Two budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air. Which figure of speech is used here? Answer. Personification. 6. Find out the rhyming words from the stanzas. Answer. Plate made, measure pleasure, fan can, air there. 7. Write the rhyme scheme of the given stanzas. Answer. ABAB. Appreciation of the poem Lines Written in Early Spring. Answer. The poem Lines Written in Early Spring by William Wordsworth is an insightful poem that gives a powerful message to the entire mankind. The poem explicitly states that the fact that to be close to nature is to be close to God. Being a nature poet, Wordsworth always found joy in nature, sitting under the shade of a bower, where nature was abundant with birds hopping merrily. Trees and climbing plants were hugging one another. Twigs were spreading their arms to embrace the blowing wind. The poet could see there was a joy in nature. But when he compared natural world to humans world, he felt so sad comparing both nature and man. Nature had a holy plan for every creature, but man's plan was evil and baleful. The poet felt very depressed thinking about man's evil deeds directed against his fellow beings. The poet found everything in nature so joyous and helpful, but when he thought about man's greed, hatred, jealousy, evil, he felt sad and melancholic. Throughout the poem, the poet did his best to create the idea of a living, breathing world that is only a fraction remote from humanity. The poem is a masterpiece in rhyme. He has used AB rhyme scheme. The diction used by him creates a perfect imagery of the nature scene he himself was enjoying. The poem is a blend of various images, like thousand blended notes, primrose studs in that sweet bower, periwinkle trailed its wreaths, every flower enjoys the air it breathes, the budding twigs, etc. The poem is a 6-stanza poem separated into sets of 4 lines known as quatrains. The poet makes use of alliteration to add to the beauty of the poem. For example, sweet and sad in lines 3 and 4 of the stanza. The language used is simple and eloquent. The poem can be termed as the epitome of literary marvel.